Welcome to this video on Kafka Consumer Lag. Consumer lag is defined as the number of messages waiting to be consumed. It is caused by a delay between message production and consumption, or a difference in production and consumption speeds. Think of a restaurant kitchen as a real-life analogy. The waiters placing orders are the producers. The chef cooking the food represents the consumer. The pile of pending orders waiting to be cooked is analogous to consumer lag. For example, if a producer sends 1,000 messages and the consumer has processed 800, the consumer lag is 200 messages. These 200 messages are still waiting to be consumed. If consumer lag is high, it indicates that the consumer or broker is slow or overloaded, or that there are too few consumers or too many incoming messages. Conversely, if consumer lag is low, it suggests that the system is healthy and processing messages efficiently. So how can we fix high consumer lag? One way to fix high consumer lag is to make consumers faster. This can be achieved by adding more consumers, up to the number of partitions, or by increasing the number of partitions. You should also optimize consumer processing logic by checking for slow operations like database or external API calls, heavy calculations, and blocking operations. Fixes include batch and async processing, faster database queries, and removing unnecessary work. Tuning consumer parameters is another critical step. Think of a real-world analogy. Messages are passengers, the broker is the bus driver, and the consumer is the hotel. The first parameter is, quote, max.poll.records. This limits the number of messages processed in one batch. For real-world analogy, hotel staff says, I will check in only 10 passengers at a time. Even if 50 passengers arrived, only 10 are processed in one batch. The rest wait in the lobby. Max.poll.records is the maximum number of messages returned by a single call to the consumer's poll method. Decrease it for slow processes and increase it for faster processes. The default is 500. The second parameter is max.poll.interval.ms. This sets a time limit for processing the batch. If exceeded, the broker assumes the consumer is dead and reassigns partitions to another consumer. With real-world analogy, if hotel takes too much time checking in passenger, driver thinks hotel is not functional. So the transport company reassigns future buses to another hotel. The golden rule is that the average processing time per record multiplied by, quote, max.poll records must be less than, quote, max.poll interval. Exceeding the interval marks the consumer as dead, triggering an unnecessary rebalance. If message processing is slow, either decrease no of records or increase interval. The third parameter is, quote, fetch.min.bytes, which is like waiting for a minimum number of passengers before the bus comes. This saves resources by making fewer trips. Fetch.min.bytes is the minimum data the broker must accumulate before responding to a fetch request. Use 1 byte for low latency or 1 megabyte for high throughput, balancing overhead and delivery latency. The fourth parameter is fetch.max.wait.ms. This is the maximum time the broker will wait for fetch.min.bytes to be reached. The broker returns data after this time limit, even if the minimum bytes haven't been accumulated. In real-world analogy, bus driver waits, but only up to a time limit. After that, even if only 8 passengers are there, the bus leaves. This param acts as a safety valve. The broker returns data when either minimum bytes is reached or max.wait expires, whichever comes first. Use 500 milliseconds or more for high throughput and 10 milliseconds to 100 milliseconds for low latency. The golden rule is to always tune min bytes alongside max wait. The broker responds when the byte threshold is met or the timer expires. For spiky traffic, use a large min bytes and a moderate max wait. In high traffic, byte limit triggers immediate responses, while low traffic ensures messages aren't stuck waiting indefinitely. A critical warning: never set max wait higher than the consumer's request timeout. Exceeding the timeout will cause the consumer to drop the connection. Consumer will assume broker is down. Improving consumer hardware can also help. Increase CPU cores and RAM. Run more consumer instances or move to faster machines. This is like renovating the hotels and recruiting more staff. Finally, check Kafka broker performance. Monitor CPU usage, disk I/O speed, and network bandwidth. If overloaded, add more brokers, use SSD storage, or balance partitions across brokers. This is like upgrading buses. In short, to fix high consumer lag, increase consumer partitions and the number of consumers. Optimize processing logic, tune system parameters, and scale infrastructure as necessary. Thank you for watching this video. The content was provided by Mayur Sharma, Architect and Engineering Manager at Publicis Sapient.